Fun? Well, I'm sure some players like Jodo might disagree, since they had to play basically the same game several times over. But I liked watching it. Special shout out to Torek for coming up with that bat thing. That was really fun. But anyways, I brought with me a Frenchman, Mr.
Yes,
Lairis. Welcome aboard.
baguette.
The baguette.
Baguette. Yes,
Oui.
I think that's very relevant to say baguette here.
No doubt. So you didn't have the standard three deck lineup. You went with the corruption thing. How come? Why did you pick that over? Or what did you not have? You didn't have the
I didn't
elves.
have Nature Rage because I'm not really good with aggro decks and I don't like playing them much. So I decided to stick to my usual corruption control deck. But this time I tried to change it a little because after the last Masters, I saw that the matchup of corruption control against other range in particular was very harder than expected. So I tried a different strategy, and I played Wisdom and New Horizons to try to how to say that. Um, to reach my removals faster and to put faster pressure against OR.
So ramp,
Uh,
basically.
Ramp, yes. Sadly, that's always the same strategy when you're playing against a deck that beats you. Put some ramp and maybe you have a chance. The fact is, I think I played one of two matches of this deck against OR, and it works. It worked. So I believe that was good. I also put some reanimator tools to have a chance against faster decks, and finally it worked very well. I think aside from the last day, from the last game against Johto, it worked. This game, I think there is nothing to say about it. We all know what happened. I didn't hit ramp. And I didn't. I didn't. Excuse me. I didn't hit a shrine, so
Oh yeah. Well, I
it
mean,
was a good start.
you whiffed twice, so
Yes.
that's rough. So what kind of bans did you experience? Was it always Wisdom Dominion every time?
A ban to my lineup.
I mean, what did you what which of your decks did you have banned while playing the most?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry, I'm very tired.
Of the three decks you played, which was Wisdom
Yes.
Dominion, Order Rage, and the Corruption, which one was banned the
Oh,
most?
Despina was bad the whole game, the whole time. I didn't play it at
Oh.
all. Actually, that was my strategy. I didn't play Dominion once, and that was my idea because since my New Horizons were in Darius, you can expect that they weren't in Despina. So my version of Despina was a bit exotic. But I decided to take the risk because I expected everyone to ban it. So I said, okay, let's put Eranuel, let's put Prinha, let's put Catacomb Keeper, let's put Bats, the new Bats, and Vampirism, and count on everyone banning it. I don't know how good this deck would have been if I had played it against strong decks, because it was obviously weaker than the usual Wisdom Dominions. But well, my strategy of having it banned every time worked well.
That is like next level thinking here.
Yes.
Everyone's gonna ban it. Well, I'm gonna make it a little worse because I'm never gonna play it anyways.
And make the other deck stronger thanks to that. Yes, I'm glad it worked because honestly, I think this was let's say for Wisdom Dominion deck, it was really affordable to beat to play for the opponents. It wasn't really the best version possible. But actually, my three decks are. I'm not saying they are bad. Of course, they are very good decks, but they are a bit exotic sometimes. For example, the Tri Angelica Sentinel in Order Rage, I think that was unexpected. I played it.
That was cool. That actually did a lot of work.
Yes. I hoped it would do well against notably Corruption decks and Order Rage mirrors, because the fact is I have no idea how to play mirrors, but I expected this to do some job. Maybe if I was in a aggressive position and I could maybe set up a board that my opponent wouldn't be able to kill, and that almost worked because Johto ended finally killed my board the first time, but it was very close, and I was at some point I was 1 damage off, and but finally he cleaned my board and I almost lost, and I have no idea how I won actually, to be honest. I don't know what happened.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about the very last game, it was pretty clear that you going first, I think Johto stumbled on like turn 3 or something.
Yes,
so
he did
basically,
when I was 3 mana, I did nothing.
Yeah, basically after that, he was just behind almost the entire time. I didn't think at any point you were really in any real danger, though. Like, it seemed like you were just pushing, and he was just like fighting back as best as he could. Though he did have to start using his burn and healing just to survive, and at that point I thought, okay, well, he's kind of on the back foot now. But it still was close all the way to the end.
Yes, it was very close because at the very late, in very late game, I had used almost all of my creatures, and if I had not, if I wasn't able to win when I won, if I had succeeded in cleaning my remaining board, I was doomed because his deck was full of creatures and I had nothing left. I had almost no Phoenix or Batterscard Elder, so I was very surprised to see that he was able to finally to survive my first wave of creatures, and I think I really see it. Excuse me. That's pretty much a miracle that I still won at the end.
Yeah, he defended pretty well, I'd say.
Yes, but he plays very well anyway. He had the 3 best decks, and he's a very good player, and he plays all these decks very well. So I didn't expect him to do any mistake, and he really defended as much as best as possible. So that's true.
I think there was only one time where he did something that I thought was wrong, and that was when he had the option
at the end.
No, not the very end. There was that, but there was one time before where he could have hero powered, but that would have left your Elder. I thought he could have just attacked the Elder with everything to make sure that it dies when he hero powers. But instead, I think he like let it live, or no, he just put more creatures into play and didn't hero power. And then at the end, he like went all in, and your hero power just wiped him out.
Yes, I don't think that was that's pretty much the only moment where maybe he did a mistake. I was more how to say that. He started to attack with some creatures, and I think I thought that was pretty much the end, but he canceled his attack and he made another decision, and yes, I think that wasn't good. He had the possibility to kill more of my creatures. He could have forced me to block with my Phoenix, and maybe I wouldn't have kept my Phoenix afterwards. I don't know how much it would have changed, but
so if you put in Triangelica Sentinel, what did you have to take out for it?
I played less spells. Actually, I had 3 copies of every spell, unless Exorcism and Ray of Righteousness. I had 3 Word of Fire, 3 Detonate, 3 Fireballs, 3 Cannonates, 3 Dragonfire, and 3 Angel. And instead I put more creatures. Because I didn't want to play games full spells against full spells, I was more confident in playing a matchup where I could play more aggressively. So I put more creatures.
Makes sense.
Along with two innkeepers.
Yeah, the Innkeeper was a nice addition. I think that because it's one of the basically if you hit a Phoenix, it's like fireballing it basically.
Yes. I played Innkeeper indeed mostly for Phoenix, also for the Angel, and for another matchups, not in particular versus some corruption decks, or if there was zombie decks, for example, I thought it was a good addition. But yes, I remember it was also for Death Trap. I wanted to have a little creature to
Oh yeah, because that's something we saw a lot when Jodo was playing. Where there's just no answer to these death traps because the cheapest creature was like 3 mana. I was like, oh my god.
Death Trap is a card that destroys all the rage for both reasons. The cheapest card, the only creature that can destroy Death Trap in early game is Reincarnation Spirit, and that's not enough. Especially if, for example,
it's just
the
slow.
trap is Spark Tier 1, turn 1. So, if I had played against Natural Rage, I planned to hard mulligan for Innkeeper and counter Death Trap if there was one.
Yeah, that trap was definitely a big one. But in the future, I don't know if because we wanted to have a bit of a chat about what might have to be nerfed in the future because it seems like these 3 decks. I don't know. The Order Rage doesn't feel as oppressive as the other 2, but the Nature Rage and the Wisdom Dominion seem to be a little bit too strong.
Oh, for me, Order Rage is on the same page. It's also absolutely oppressive. It beats every aggro deck easily thanks to Angel, and it quite destroys every mid-range deck. So for me, it's the same lot. In particular, I want absolutely to have Angel nerfed because it is an auto-win card in many matchups. And overall, I think.
We can go through it deck by deck.
Efficient.
We can go through it deck by deck, so we can see what. So we can start with Order Rage. So Angel is the big problem because it's too good.
Angel is probably one of the biggest problems. Yes.
Deal.
Because it does too much for a low cost. It gains HP. It flies. It has decent statistics. It's everything you want. It's a creature. It's removal. It's a heal. It does too much for its costs. At least I think that. I feel it comes too early in the game, and even in late game, it remains a very strong card. It's stronger at any moment of the game.
Okay, that's fair, but how could you nerf it without like utterly killing it? Make it a 2/2 instead of a 2/3?
One of my ideas is having it getting summoned at the end of your turn instead of the beginning, so that you cannot attack with it immediately. And the opponent has a chance to remove it before it actually attacks.
But the thing is, given how the invoke mechanic works, I don't know that's doable because you have to change all of the cards.
Oh, that's true that it changes a lot, but I think it has to be changed anyway. If it was me, I would strike kill all of the 3 decks and go on.
I mean,
I'm quite radical. These decks are so oppressive, so good. They just beat everything. So I don't think we can afford to be gentle, to be cool, and just nerf a bit. And no, they must disappear.
Wait,
I think everyone is sick of it anyway.
Oh wait, I'm being told that the other ones actually do go at the end of turn. So I guess you could just change. So I guess the part of the keyword isn't like it can actually, because invoke just means become a creature. I guess it doesn't actually imply when. So okay, you could make it invoke at the end of your turn.
I think creep also is also summoned at the end. No, creep. I think also works like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, no, they're talking about the guardian. The guardian of balance invokes at the end of your turn.
Yes.
The Rage Nature Elf. Oh, I forgot what it's called. There is a card like that.
Sisterhood of
Oh
Flames.
yeah, Sisterhood of Flames. Okay, so that seems fair. Make it invoke at the end. Like, okay, that seems fair enough.
Also, Cannonade, I find that Cannonade also does too much, along with Symbol of Fury.
Cannonade, really?
The fact is, there are too much removals. There are just too much removals. No, there even is on 3 towers that helps killing big creatures. So for me, Cannonade also does too much. In particular, it can both kill a very big creature alone or remove a lot of little creatures. I think it's too polyvalent, and if it was me, I would remove. I would rework it a bit to become less oppressive. I don't know yet how to do that, but I think it's too polyvalent overall. The fact is, Order Rage overall is too strong because there are too much removals. That's the thing.
Yeah, I guess. Even with Fireball at 3 mana, they've got... Okay, well, they got Word of Fire, Symbol, Fire Blast, Cannonade. I guess they got quite a lot of variety, that's true.
Detonation, Dragonfire, there's too much thing. Not even speaking about the Order removals, because Ray of Righteousness and Exorcism also are very good cards, and there are also some people who play Pacify. I don't do that personally because I think there are better spells, but it also exists.
Exorcism is definitely probably the bigger issue because it's +1 when you play it. Unless you whiff on the spell removing. But I mean, if you're just killing something like an Ogre Captive and drawing a card, that's pretty good.
That's the best use you can do of it, yes. Ogre Captive is a very good target.
But you can also kill the Angel. I actually had forgotten because that's a rage card.
And also the Angel, yes. I did that against Johto.
Yeah, I was thinking like, wait, how did that happen? Oh, it's a rage card. Oh, right. It looks so white.
I love Exorcism.
So okay.
That's also why I play 4 of it because it was very good against Other Rage and Natural Rage as well.
I want to offer a counterpoint to the whole there's too much removal. I think the issue is that we don't have enough creatures or even cards that are more proactive. It's almost every creature that's played can be removed by 1 card.
Yes.
So Phoenix is a rare exception, right? Because it's very hard to kill with 1 card. But other than that, we don't have like a spell that summons like 3 creatures or something like that. That you could just play a big value proactive card. You know, it could cost, let's say, even 6 mana, but it can't be killed with a single removal, right? Your opponent has to do more. But as it is, I can't think of anything like that. We have a lot of, like, play a guy that also kills a guy, or a spell that just removes something, but not really a card. Like, imagine a guy that summons another guy. Something like that.
Gibbo and Ronnie.
What? Oh, okay, yeah, like Gibbo and Ronnie, except
well,
not...
It's really weak.
Except not shit, right? Okay, so yeah, Forced Labor, like... Carjan said. So Forced Labor is kind of that idea, but I was like, imagine a nature card, call it like, I don't know, the Gathering of the Forest or something, a 5 mana spell that summons an Ancient Treant, let's say, a Moonlight Patrol, and, I don't know, Empress of the Forest or something like that. Right? It's a big spell that, you know, that it's not easy to counter. You need like a big removal to deal with that. I don't think we have enough of that in the game. If Nature had more tricks like that, they could actually contest Rage decks, because Rage decks would have to try to play catch-up with their with these sorts of value cards. But as it is, we don't have that. So I would rather we try that, or another is Death Rattle effect. So let's say you play a 5/5, then when it's killed, it summons like a 4/4. Something like that, but that's essentially Phoenix, right? So another version of a Phoenix, or like a big guy that summons a couple small guys when it dies, something like that. Because even the biggest cards in the game, Dragon, Elgaron, Karthus, none of them offer like board presence. They're all like play a guy that like kills a bunch of stuff, and all of them get killed by a single. All of them are killed by a single spell, basically. Except maybe Bezarok if you go for the Death Rattle effect.
Yes, sadly it remains very rare. There aren't many cards that have a Death Rattle. It's very rare in Spellweaver. I wonder if Ko fears creating Death Rattle cards because he thinks it would be too strong because it would help too much in snowballing the board. I don't know that. I don't know if what is his thought on Death Rattle in general.
Well, I mean, we've got Phoenix, right? And Phoenix is pretty good, but it's not game-breaking. As long as you don't pile too many of these cards into one color, right? And we have Innkeeper, right? That can counter it somewhat. So I think what Spellweaver needs is not, like, nerf this stuff, but just give us more tools that can answer it. More variety of cards. So Torek says just nerf the Angel, and then Order Rage should be fine. If you also nerf the other two decks.
Yeah, that's right.
Alright, that seems fair.
First culture. Mainly some cards that helps keeping a strong board presence were nerfed, but not the spells. Not. Yeah, Fireball was, Symbol of Fury was, Cataclysm was, but there are still a lot of possibilities, and Fireball still remains a very good card.
Yeah, I honestly, I think I would like Fireball at 2 mana, but then it would have to, like, either not be able to go face, or, like, do less damage to the face or something, because at 2 mana, it's just too much, it's just too good at everything, right?
Yes.
At 3, it just feels kind of meh, but because it can go face, I guess it's good. Anyways, enough about that. Nature Rage, right? Everyone's favorite balance deck. AKA hot garbage. That's what I was calling it throughout the stream. So what's the big culprit? Is it Summoner Druid? And obviously Wilderness Guardian probably has something to do with it.
Yes, absolutely yes. Wilderness Guardian goes too much in... it's a very big creature, and I think the 2 damage AoE does too much in reversing the games. You can just play Wilderness Guardian, spam the creatures, and then come back with a very fat Wilderness Guardian that kills everything. It does too much in creature matchups, and it allows the famous Archon of Souls combo. So it's very hard to find a single culprit in Natural Rage because there is a whole combo that completely breaks it. It's both it's Summoner Druid, it's Cult of Souls, it's Wilderness Guardian, it's everything. But yes, I think the Guardian is the first. It should have never been a 4/5. I tried to nerf it, but it wasn't. It wasn't kept. The idea wasn't kept. I wanted to make it a more little creature like 3/3 or 3/4, but instead other cards were nerfed.
Don't forget it is unstoppable too.
Yes, that's right. And the fact is you can't interact with it because it's a spell. So unless you're running a spell removal yourself, you cannot kill it, and you know it's when it's summoned you lose if you're not playing a control deck. And even when you are playing control, it's very strong because it's still a 4/5 for 3, and when it comes along with other creatures, you just can't kill everything, so you can lose. You can't gain the board control against NR. You can't.
The issue seems to be that it can be activated at any time, like even at during your opponent's turn. Like you can just wake it up and just AoE their stuff. Like imagine if you have that, your opponent can't do the Neva Swift turn with like all the guys because you just wake it up and just clean his board.
Yes. No, they can counter that. So. If there were to be culprit, it would be that plus Mercot of Souls. I think Mercot of Souls is slightly too strong for 1 mana. For 1 mana and no exhaust effect. It's probably a bit too strong. Not not broken, but a bit too strong. I wouldn't be mad if there was a slight nerf on it. Maybe, for example, I think it could afford getting exhausted when it uses its effect.
I think I'd rather hit the summoner just because it basically it's unfair earlier. And usually unfairness earlier is worse than unfairness later. Because the fact that you can like basically play a zero, but basically it costs 0 mana when you first play him. And then it's like 2 more mana on top of that. And there's so many of these strong 2 mana cards between the Death Trap and the Ogre. It's a bit too much tempo for free.
Maybe his effect could cost 1 mana and he could reduce the cost of the next creature by 3. So when he hits the board the first time, you can't.
Oh yeah, you can't immediately use it. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Let's see. Make Summoner Druid 3 mana 1 level, potentially with slightly buffed stats, so you can have a fast turn 3. Okay, yeah. If you do it on turn 3, you can't because you only have 1 level, so you have to wait 1 more turn.
Yes, that's also possible.
I know it's always risky in this game to change mana cost because it has such a drastic effect on cards. Like if you're increasing the mana cost of something, you really have to improve it. Otherwise, it goes from good to absolute trash, pretty much immediately.
Yes, all the cost raising in corruption control in particular changed a lot of things. Particularly the reanimate and soul prison had a lot of impact on corruption control. So I
mean, Sanctum made a lot of sense. Like 2 mana was just way too efficient. I actually would rather have increased its cooldown. Honestly, you can keep it at 2 mana, but it should have a longer cooldown. Because it's a free kill, basically. Like, in the same way Advanced Zash cooldown was increased to 4 because it was just stupid at 3. So, I don't know. I guess it's fine at 3, but I still think it's a bit too fast. Because later on when you have more mana, it doesn't matter that it costs 1 more mana. But, whatever. The reanimate thing, yeah, that makes sense. But I think reanimate is just functionally bad for the game. Because, like, it means you can never make a really powerful creature. Because, well, you can always just reanimate it, basically. Just discard it into the graveyard. Like, or you have to design them in such a way where they have a powerful play boost. So you cannot reanimate. Or you can reanimate it, but they don't get the big effect. Well, that would be one way around it. What is Vidal says? Summoner it's fine. I will focus on Wilderness and Merchant. I really don't like Summoner. I have less of an issue with Merchant.
I'd be curious to know what NR would be with Wilderness, Guardian, and Merchant being nerfed. I wonder if it would be still alive.
Well, I mean, it probably would be enough to bring it down. But I'm thinking more like in the future. Because, I mean, Summoner Druid will always be a threat with the turn 3 shenanigans. Whereas the Merchant is, what, turn 5? You can play it and get a Death Trap or something? Or the... Like, it's a 4 mana, I think it's a 3/3 and a 4/4. Yeah, that's pretty good, but you take 3 damage. I guess, I would be totally fine if it exhausted the card. Like, I'd have no problem with that. That seems fair. The same way the Spirit... Was it a Shepherd of Spirits? The big 3/7? He exhausts himself to do the thing?
Yes. But in counterpart, it also it wakes the Soul Shepherd wakes when you play a spirit from your hand.
Oh, so
yeah.
It's
not that much of a bother.
But you still have to pay the mana of the spirit, so it's not like it's a lot of mana to get him to work, and I think that's fine. Like, see, now that's a card that represents a lot of value. Play a 3/7.
It's probably fine, yes.
But it takes so much mana. I mean, it's fair that it does because, like, it should. Because if you can't kill it, just summoning a 4/4 every turn, that's pretty good. But yeah, I'd like to see
if you have abused ramp, but if you remove the abused ramp,
yeah,
it
so
becomes a very fair card.
Speaking of ramp, let's get to the highlight of the show. Wisdom Dominion. So,
this one is particularly easy to nerf.
oh yeah, is it just the Scarab?
Yeah, just remove Scarab. Just kill Scarab. We have tried to balance it a lot of times and it never worked.
Well,
Never worked.
that's because we let it keep the ramp. What if we just let it keep the growing ability when you gain the mana crystal and just got rid of the ramp?
Oh yes, if we do that, it will probably become a fine creature. But as long as we keep a primary ramp, it will never be good.
Yeah,
I mean, never be good for the game.
That is true. I've said this every single time. I don't like Horizons. I think it's too convenient and too good to play on turn 2. Oh yeah,
maybe remove the spirit tag. Remove the spirit tag of Scarab so that you can't combine it anymore with Devourer of Worlds.
Oh yeah. So speaking of Devourer, yeah, is Devourer OP? Everyone seems to think it is. I can kind of see why, because I think how powerful it is depends on what spirits are available. So if you can. So on the 3 slot, if you can play it with something like Incarnate, it's insane because it can eat Phoenixes, Elders, and it's pretty gross. Like, if you're just eating, like, 1-cost stuff, like, I don't think that matters. Maybe you could limit on how much she could eat or something, or, make his stats lower, because 6/6 is a lot of stats.
Or maybe it could, instead of putting them under him, it could kill them so that the Death Rattle effect trigger, for example, in the case of Phoenix, it would just kill the Phoenix and it would resurrect instead of just disappearing from the game.
Yeah, right, basically. Okay, so yeah, Tarek says it's much worse without Scarab, and I agree. The Scarab being a 2-cost spirit definitely helps it, but the reality is that he's right. It's because eventually they're just gonna never make spirits ever again. So as long as there are any playable spirits, because Vats gives you a 1-cost spirit, right? And then Spirit is a 2-cost spirit, and then I guess Incarnate is the best 3-cost spirit? Oh no, Catacomb Keeper is also a 3-cost spirit. So
anyway, even without all the effects we told about, that remains 6 damages rush. Even if it doesn't anything, it's still a big 6/6 that charges. Even that is broken, I think. Given that you can summon it almost for free, since for example with that of another spirit that already did his job, you can just summon it for 4, and it rushes for 6/6. 6/6 is very very big for that cost.
Do you think part of the issue is the ramp? Because you have so much mana, it's so easy to, like, even steal an enemy spirit and then still play Devourer? Because you have, like, 13 mana or something ridiculous?
The fact that the ramp exists, basically you can just ramp, and then you can come back with a Devourer that acts like a Cataclysm, so you're not punished for doing that.
Yeah.
So yes, without Scarab, the game will be very, very, very better.
Yeah, I'd say if you want to deal with Wisdom Dominion, I would say just delete the ramping ability of the Scarab and just leave it at that and see what happens. Because that's already a big hit. Like, you don't want to hit everything. You don't want a deck to become absolutely terrible. Let's see what that does. If they can't just ramp so easily, and they have to play maybe a bit more early game because they don't have Cataclysm either. Because it takes a while to get, because you have to play a Spirit and still spend 4 mana. But yeah, I one thing you could do with it, you could make it a 6/4, so that it can't eat, like, if he eats 4 things, it dies, right? If you lower its health a little. Then it can still hit for 6, but it can't eat so many things and still live with big stats.
Yes, that's a good start. Yes, I remember also proposing that overall embodied creatures can't attack face, but can attack creatures. So it also removes the possibility of just doing nothing and just sending some Devourer to face and winning. I don't know if it would do much, but
But I think having some ability to like play a big guy that can attack the face is like a way to like have a big threat towards the end, right? So that if your opponent can always counter a creature that you play, then you can never finish them off unless you have burn. I don't think it's bad to have a big guy that with rush because you can still there's still instant cards that can deal with them. Like Cleanse, for instance, right? It's just that the problem with Devour is that he kills like 3 things and then kills another creature on top of that. and then, like you said, it's a Cataclysm. Or it could just be a 6/6 Swift Phase, but I think that's only a problem because you have so much mana. With Scarab, without the ramp on Scarab, I think that would be a very different deck to play.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only way to fix it. We really tried our best, but no, we can't keep it. We can't. It's impossible.
All right, so I think just remove switch the ramp back to the like growing get 1/1 when you get a mana crystal on Scarab, and that's fine. And does it even need to be primary at this point? I don't think so. I honestly don't like the primary mechanic in general. I feel like all the primary cards are like kind of memey or gimmicky.
Oof.
Other than shrines, obviously.
As it wasn't very successful. I don't believe it will be removed because it will break the primary cycle. So
I mean, okay, I guess I just don't think it's like, let's not have any more of those. I don't think they really contribute to the game. But whatever, it's not a big deal. So do that for Nature Rage. We said what? Wilderness Guardian probably is the main culprit.
Wilderness Guardian and Merchant of Souls.
Yes, I'd say Merchant, yeah, make him exhaust, that's fine. And for the Wilderness, I guess just maybe lower his stats a little. Or make it so you can only do it, like, at the end of your turn or something. Same as all the other ones, so that it's not like you can just do it and still attack with it.
Yes.
Or
instant
or just do that. Don't even have to reduce its stats, just make it so you can only invoke it at the end of turn. So that it doesn't hit the face along with everybody else. And then maybe you don't have to lower its stats.
I don't believe it can... I don't believe it can both be a very strong, very fat creature and being an AoE. It can't do both. It can't be both a strong creature and a strong controller. Just that imbalances it a little, I think.
Yeah, alright. Seems good to me. I'm sure Igloo will review our little mini podcast here and make the decisions accordingly. Or maybe people can just, is there a... Hang on, I'm going to look at the Discord, see if there's like a... Oh, there's a balanced discussion. Also, there's like a specific channel for like suggesting card changes, like particular card changes. So, you have an easy access to just talk about one specific card rather than all of them. No, okay, there's not. At least I don't see it, but anyways. Yeah, maybe we can toss some suggestions in there and see what happens. And then see what other... Because one thing I'm always wary of, if you do too much... Because there may be decks right now that would be oppressive and broken... but just aren't because, well, they're just slightly worse than the big three. So you don't want to go overboard because then you just cause a different problem. So give them a slight nerf and then see, like, you know, are they still top tier? Maybe they're good but not OP so that there's other viable lines, stuff like that. And I do think I would like to see if they're making any new expansions in the future. Yeah, definitely add more cards that can create proactive value. Oh yes, and kill one turn heal for fuck's sake.
Yes, that's right.
Honestly, for that one, I think there's only one solution. The win condition has to be changed. It can't be an instant win when you reach 40 health. That's just stupid. Because there's no counterplay to it. You just instantly lose? What? That can't be the way you win the game. people are saying, "Oh, Word of Grace is overpowered." The Word of Grace is like whatever, but just because you can instantly win at 40 is like, oh, well now suddenly it's an easy path to get there. Imagine if the max life was 40, and then you had to hold it for a full turn. So if your opponent just sends a fireball to your face, they bought another turn. Or hits you with one creature. But maybe that wouldn't be enough. But it seems like as long as you can win by healing, it's like never gonna be... in some cases, it's justified, because if you have a big life-bound board, and you just keep hitting, it seems like, you know, if you gain enough life, it seems like you could be declared the winner because you have so much life you can never lose. But it seems that 40 is a little too low, if anything.
Or maybe just New Horizons.
Yeah, maybe. But
I don't know Torix takes much, but I believe that it's also an abuse of New Horizons. So it's probably a big hit to ETH.
Oh,
Overall, New Horizons
I'm sure it would be, because then you wouldn't be able to get to your 5 levels or whatever that quickly.
Yes, I believe an album doesn't want to have the LifeCon removed.
And if it must be in the game, then increase it to like 50 life or something. Like, it shouldn't be a common thing to win by life.
Oh, it works on 3 levels. So what can I do? Yes, I saw some suggestion somewhere. It was to make World of Grace playable only if you have less than a certain amount of life. For example, if you have less than
30
life or 20 life, you can't play it. That can also fix the problem.
I mean,
this way you keep it as a good surviving tool, but you can't abuse of it to reach.
The problem is, has Word of Grace ever been used for anything other than the life wound condition? Is the problem.
Aside from some Angels deck, yes, not much.
See, that's the problem. Like, a spell that just heals, like, you'd think it'd be useful. Like, why wouldn't a control like want a card like that? Like, wouldn't Wisdom Dominion like a card that like heals for 5 and draws a card or something?
Oh yes, probably yes.
Yeah. We need a buff, otherwise I wouldn't see play. Yeah, I agree. Because the point is that healing is...
For example, it could come back to its original version, like gain 2 life for each of your levels.
Yeah, well, the problem I think that as a word card, it's just the effect is so weak. Whereas although all of the word cards are supposed to be really strong, and they sort of are, well, Word of Pain got, like, destroyed. But actually a lot of them got nerfed. Like, Word of Vigor used to be a really, really strong card. Back when Nature had its old Haldiri Rider, which I kind of miss him, by the way. I think that nerf to like, making him 2 health was a little bit unjustified. Like, especially these days? I could easily be a 3-3.
Back then it was justified, but now I think it can afford to be unnerfed, because there are so many strong cards, and it's not like there was a really strong mono nature deck currently.
Yeah, we have. Oh, the thing is, creatures have gotten A, bigger, and B, the stat lines have changed, because we had way too many 2/2s and 2/3s. But now we have 3/2s, 4/3s, 4/4s. You know, Haldiri is like nice card, right? But I don't think it would really do anything. And disconnected for inactivity. Oh boy. No, I'm back. No worries. Yeah, I think Nature is a good candidate for having some cards added that create like presence on the board. Because like, if they're gonna have an identity, it should be that, right? Like some big, like some the big nature card should be like some, like you've got Grand Reunion, right? But that pulls creatures from your deck.
Yes.
So that's good in a way, but because they come down at the end of turn, it's like It's a bit annoying. And it's also very specific. So
overall, it doesn't feel like nature has a big identity currently. It more acts as a support for other strategies, but it's not. It doesn't carry by itself. I find that a bit sad.
Old Word of Vigor with Shooting Sprout. That would be pretty good. If you had like 3 levels, yeah, Shooting Sprout would get 6/6. But you know what else is really good with Shooting Sprouts? Symbol of Growth. You don't even need to have that many nature levels. That's +6 and Unstoppable. +6, +2, admittedly, but still. Yeah, so for those who don't know, Word of Vigor used to read, give a friendly creature a might emblem for every nature level you have, and then draw a card. But if that's too much, you could just force it to be spread out. Like, you could say, if you could give a different creature a might emblem for each nature level you have. If, like, putting, like, +3/+3 on a single guy is too good for 2 mana, maybe that is too good. Because, like, Word of Fire seems fine. Word of Pain used to be a life drain. Like, it was steel...
Word of Pain is dead.
Oh yeah, the current version is like terrible, but original version was basically like a succubus effect. It was steal life equal to your corruption levels. It was really strong in a deck called Casual Darius, because you would ramp to like ridiculous corruption levels and then like play it and steal 5 life or something. And that because also drew a card, it combined with succubus, you just drain your opponent all the way down. Then they changed it to the whole put a weakness emblem on something. But that, like, if you thought Word of Vigor was OP, oh my god, this is so much worse. But at the very least, it's different creatures. Like, if you could target the same creature, oh shit, dude, that would be busted as hell. It would make the old, it would make Consume Spirit look bad. It would be like a Consume with card draw.
Oh.
I do agree that the word cards should be overpowered, right? Because they promote mono decks. Because if you're going that way, you're giving up possibly a second color, so you should be rewarded with a few powerful cards. So I think they went overboard. You know, Word of Vigor is like meh, honestly, because it's temporary.
It doesn't reward going with many nature events.
It does reward but it's just not good enough. Like, it has to be like... Yes. Like, compared to Symbol of Growth, for instance, which is +3/+1 and Unstoppable, and it can kill a artifact or a spell. And you don't even need to be mono. Like, it's not even close. Yeah. I don't know. It seems like a long discussion that should be had. Although it seems like we've been having this discussion.
We had a lot of these, but sadly we couldn't do concrete things because we didn't see IFCO for a month. So
oh yeah,
the discussions were shut down. But probably many things are coming. At least I hope so. And
yeah, I mean,
other nature cards are coming, so the next time.
Again, I just hope we don't go overboard with the nerfs and like cause just different decks to become overpowered. Oh, we'll see. You know, it's a balancing act. That's why you gotta do the nerfs slightly so that you can like fine tune things. But yeah, inevitably, some cards like are just gonna be always problematic. I think Summoner is one of those cards. It obviously wouldn't see play if it wasn't for like Death Trap and Ogre Captive. But I mean, you have to assume eventually there'll be 2-cost cards that are well statted, and then here we go again. Because what, turn 2 you spark that guy, play him with a 4/4. If they kill your guy, you still basically played it for 0 mana. They spent 2 mana to kill it, and you have a 4/4 in play. That's a pretty good deal as far as I'm concerned. If they don't kill it, 2 more 4/4s coming next turn.
Mono Ancient? how do you win with mono ancients? What creatures do?
I don't think it have only ancients, because there's not a lot of ancient creatures. But yeah, on the topic of ancient, I wonder if all the ancient cards should not be colorless. Because, like, something like Primal Battle feels like it should be like a nature rage card, not a everybody card. Cleanse feels like order, like maybe order dominion or something, order something, order wisdom. Because otherwise, like, the ancient tag is a little bit too convenient. Not only can you use it to basically substitute a shrine, it can be played in anything? What? And oh yeah, I'm just gonna toss a little plug here. I think this ancient mechanic shows that we really don't need primary shrines in the game.
Can you repeat, please?
I think the ancient mechanic shows us that we don't really need basic shrines in the game. Imagine if every card was ancient, right? But instead of giving you a colorless level, it gave you like whatever color it is. Then you never get mana screwed. You don't need Valley. And yeah, mono decks become super consistent because they always have the mana they want, and multicolor decks have to stretch a little bit, but you're never in a situation where you just don't have mana to go. I know people don't like the idea of automatic mana systems, but you basically have that. You're expected to gain a mana or a level every turn, and if you don't, you basically lose. The difference is that there are some choices to make, right? Do you go level? Which level do you go? Which card do you toss? However, there is one consequence here, and that is if you implemented this system, that would basically mean you don't need Divine Offering. But the catch is, without Divine Offering, it's a lot harder to fetch skill shrines, which is maybe a plus or a minus, depending on how you feel about it. It would be a change. Valleys for level. Like, Valley, I'm really glad Valley exists, but it's like it's just, I feel like it's essentially an admission of defeat. Like, you're admitting that, yeah, this kind of sucks. Here's a card that should help you with it. But we're almost there. We're just about have that system. It's like we're just like not ready to commit. Like, we're not ready to admit that that's basically what we're doing. And I've heard that argument that, oh no, how many shrines you put into your deck? That's a big decision. Deck making decisions. That's a bunch of bullshit. The correct number of shrines is whatever gets you a mana or a level every turn. That's it. That's all you need. Whether that's 22 or it used to be like 23. Now then it got down to like 21 when Divine Offering looked at 5 cards instead of 4. And with Valley, it's gone down to like, what, 18 or 17 even? We're cutting shrines because guess what? Shrines are just filler in your deck. You don't want shrines. You want interesting cards. If every card could become a shrine, essentially, you could run more interesting cards because if they end up not being so useful, you just toss them, right? Now 15 in aggro, wow. That's silly.
There is pretty much another card game that does that. Where the system is you can burn a card, and when you burn a card, so you send it in your deck, and you are granted both a mana and a gem, but a gem is basically a level. And overall, this system feels quite good. So I think it could be implemented in the Spellweaver and do well. Yes. I don't know if I can say the name of the game because I'm not sure that's correct to do that in stream, but
we've mentioned other games all the time.
What?
I've mentioned other games plenty of times. I think it's fine to mention them for like the case of like to see what they do well. I've played many card games, and all of them have made some mistakes, some more than others. I think everyone can figure out which ones those are. But if you could look at a game's mechanics and see how are the mechanics, right? As I think, for instance, the mechanics of the game Yu-Gi-Oh are almost perfect, but the game has been ruined by just absolutely asinine card design.
Yes.
It's basically unplayable as far as I'm concerned. Well, this was a very emotional discussion.
Running 15 shrines is... Whoa. You're really a psychopath.
No, I mean, because the fewer shrines you have, the more cards you can run, right? Though I think if we did implement that change, I think deck size would have to go down to maybe 45 or something. Because that's essentially what you're doing, right? You're just removing the shrines since you don't need them anymore. And they redraw anyways. So your deck is already smaller than 60, basically.
That makes all decks be more consistent. Maybe too consistent for aggro decks because you are basically sure to hit your turn 1, for example. If you have 8 turn 1 and you have 40 or 45 cards in your deck, that makes you're completely sure to hit one in starting hand. So maybe that will need to reduce the number of cards in your hand at the beginning. I'm not sure about that.
I mean, no, that's fair enough. But then, if that shouldn't be a problem if you're having a 1-drop, right? If there's a problem with something like Rage Rush, which we haven't seen because the nature version just seems to be a bit more powerful, a little slower, but it puts out 4 4s instead of shitty little goblins. That's a big difference. Then just the 1-drops may be an issue. I don't think the 1-drop should be doing 2 damage. Honestly, that's 10% of your health from a 1-drop. Yikes.
I really regret the short era when we had 25 HP. I'm sad it was
Oh yeah. Oh man, I remember that. That was interesting.
But Ivko said that many people complained that it was making games too long. That quite surprised me because I didn't see many people whining about that. But yes, if he says so, we have to believe him. But I think that was very fine because sometimes you really feel like you run out of life very fast.
Well, I think if you just increase the life but you don't adjust stats, then maybe. I think, the reason you run out of life so fast is because Rage Rush were just so efficient at killing your life. And I don't think you really need to... I think having a low life is fine as long as there are tools to recover your life. So that, because the fact that an aggro that can just ignore your board and go Fates because it just burn you down is silly. But imagine if there was a spell, something like Fate's Touch, with one of the 3 choices being something like give a friendly creature lifebound. Well, then suddenly they have to be more worried about your board because if you give your Ogre Captive lifebound, well, Rage Rush is going to be really sad. And then that solves the issue. I think, what's that? Legends of Runeterra is a little bit like that, where their starting life is very low.
Yes.
But there's a lot more life-gaining creatures and stuff, so you can kind of come back, but also you can get killed really fast. But I think it's fine to start at 20, as long as we have some more ways to recover life through combat, basically. Because right now, who has healing? Order has healing. And then what? Dominion has the shrine.
Dominion has the bit of healing.
And then Corruption has Succubus, but it's a very slow card. Other than that, if you have Wisdom Rage, you basically cannot heal. You have no way to heal. And maybe that's fine. Oh, that's a weakness of the deck, but... And then... I don't know, it seems like everyone should have access to something like that. Or there could just be more creatures that... Or if not life... It could be something you know how there are shield emblems? Imagine if you could put a shield emblem on your hero. Something like that. So Wisdom can't heal, but they can put a shield emblem on your hero. Maybe not permanent, maybe for until the end of turn or something. And that, if you get hit, the shield goes away, right?
Yes.
But it would be a way to stay alive that's more thematic to Wisdom than just straight up recovering life. Yeah, there's Force Field, but Force Field is really slow. It's 4 mana. and B, it's only lasts like 2 turns. Although, actually, if you can keep it going and you have multiple force fields, it gets really obnoxious, where you can't just do any damage. So I think force field is the kind of card that if you made it better, like you made it cost 2 mana, it would be like ridiculously oppressive. Wall in the north. Well, yeah, but wall in the north cannot protect you from burn, right? Whereas if you could put a shield emblem on your hero, like it would be like healing, but how much it heals depends on what hits you, right? Now, of course, these
Moreover, it's toxic as it's very toxic for Spellweaver. All overall.
What, the shield?
No, what in the north?
Oh, wall north. Yeah, I think the fact that I think the way you have to, the wall should work is that if it's attacked, you cannot intercept blocks for it. So any creature that is attacking the wall cannot be blocked by anything else, basically. So it can buy you a turn, but you can't like intercept the blocks because it's impossible to trade in that case. You have to send everything at the wall and they can just pick their trades. Basically, you have to remove it with a spell, right? Whereas it would be cool if it was a creature, let's say, that has you could imagine it's like a 0/8, but it has 8 energy, and every time it gets hit, it loses energy, and then once it has 0 energy, it just dies, right? So you could hide behind it, but it's a temporary protection, and like it just buys you time. Wall in the north with speed 4? What?
Speed 4.
well then you just can't do anything. Because you can't attack anything else, and you can't attack it. Because I think there's a situation where you cannot attack at all. Well, like if there's wall and there's like, I think I had this in a test game with someone. I just could not attack at all. Oh no, I think it because no, it was the wall, but the wall used to say it didn't have to be in the front. So if you just put it in the back, like you could not attack anything because you had to attack the wall, but it was in the back, so you could not attack it.
It does exist?
No, not now, because the wall, well, that changes. The wall had to be in the front, right? Like, if the wall is not in the front, you don't have to, you can just ignore it. But it wasn't the case originally. So, yeah, Wall and Angelic Song is an example, but at least Angelic Song is like a temporary. Like, you can't... So, Angelic Song is kind of weird because it used to just stall for a turn, and that was only annoying because of stuff like one-turn heal. But now that, your opponent can't attack your creatures, it's like, whatever. Anyways, I don't know, there's a lot more to talk about. We could probably be here for hours, but I'm starting to lose consciousness. Because, it's just...
We stayed very long, that's right. It's more than 1 hour.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, it's a little bit longer than usual. I think we generally don't end up talking for so long after. But we did this time because, I don't know, I guess baguettes are really cool.
Yes.
That must be the reason.
Baguettes.
Anyways, I don't know what the next thing is gonna be. It'd be nice if, like, there was, like, a deeper discussion between several players about this. But in the meantime, like, guys, post it on the Discord, ideas for cards. You know, try not to over-nerf things. And, yeah, we'll see what happens. And we'll catch you guys the next time. And maybe I'll figure out some way to show the hands. Oh, yeah, maybe Hallyo will finally do a podcast for once. Wasn't he supposed to do it already, like, a million years ago? Seems like he never gets around to it. Anyways, catch you guys later. Good job for winning, Lyrese. Good game against Jodo.
Thank you.
That was a worthy finale. And see you next time.
You.